All right, let's dive in today. And today we are going to be looking at Simon Sinek's Start With Why. A really great book about leadership and communication.
Yeah.
And creating movements. So I know you've read this book.
Yeah.
What are some of your initial thoughts about it?
Oh, it's such a powerful book. And it's one of those books that you just can't put down. And it's funny because it's a pretty simple concept when you really break it down, but he does such a good job of illustrating it with these really compelling stories and examples that I think really anyone can relate to.
Yeah, and what I like about it is it kind of gives you this like new lens to view things through. Like once you understand this concept of starting with why, you just start seeing it everywhere.
Absolutely.
And so, to kick things off, Sinek starts with this story about the Wright brothers.
Yeah.
And their quest to invent the airplane. And, you've got them on one side, these two brothers just tinkering away in their bicycle shop. And then on the other side, you have Samuel Langley, this well-funded, professor from Harvard with a team of brilliant minds. And everyone thought he was going to be the one to achieve flight first.
Exactly, yeah.
But what's fascinating is that despite all of those advantages, Langley ultimately failed.
Right.
And the Wright brothers, with their limited resources, achieved what many thought was impossible.
It's such a great story, and it really sets the stage for the whole book because it just proves that it's not about the resources or even the expertise that you have. It's about something deeper than that.
Yeah, so what was that deeper thing? Why did the Wright brothers succeed where Langley failed?
Well, Sinek argues that it comes down to motivation. Langley was driven by the desire for fame and recognition. So, the what? Like actually achieving flight.
Okay.
The Wright brothers, on the other hand, they were fueled by a deeper belief in the power of flight.
Okay.
To change the world. Their WHY was rooted in this vision of the future.
I see. So it's not just about setting a goal.
Right.
It's about having that compelling reason, that belief that drives you forward even when things get tough.
Exactly. And, this is where the whole concept of manipulation versus inspiration comes into play.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So Sinek, he highlights that there are many ways to influence people.
Sure.
But not all methods are created equal.
Okay.
Like manipulation might get you a quick sale or like a temporary boost, but it doesn't build lasting loyalty or a true connection.
Right. So what are some examples of manipulation?
I think we see it all the time, right? Like those limited time offers that try to create a sense of urgency.
Oh, yeah.
Or those fear-based ads that play on your anxieties. Sinek argues that, these tactics, they prey on our insecurities and they focus on short-term gains rather than genuine value.
Oh, I see. So like that classic buy one, get one free.
Exactly.
Even if you didn't need the thing in the first place.
Yeah. And those can be effective, right? In the short term.
Right.
But, they don't foster trust or build a loyal following.
I think I'm starting to see the distinction here.
Okay.
Manipulation is like pushing people to do something.
Yeah.
Whereas inspiration is more about like drawing them in.
Exactly.
Appealing to their deeper values and beliefs.
Yeah, you put it perfectly. That's exactly it. Inspiration is about creating that shared sense of purpose, that feeling that you're part of something bigger than yourself.
I like that.
And one of the best examples that Sinek gives is Apple, right?
Yeah.
And he contrasts them with Creative Technology, who were actually the first to market with an MP3 player.
Right.
But Creative, they focused on the technical features. They were boasting about storage capacity and sound quality,
The what?
The what, exactly. But Apple, they went straight for the WHY.
Yeah.
Their message was, 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Yeah.
And that tapped into a deeper desire for convenience, access to music.
Right.
They were selling a feeling, an experience.
And that really was such a brilliant example.
Yeah.
Because they weren't just selling a gadget.
Right.
They were selling a lifestyle, a way of experiencing the world.
Yeah. And that's where the whole idea of the golden circle comes into play.
The golden circle. Tell me more.
So this is Sinek's framework, right, for understanding how to communicate in a way that inspires action.
Okay.
And it's made up of these three concentric circles, WHY, hey, W, and what.
Okay. I've heard of the golden circle before.
Yeah.
But how does this connect to what we're talking about with manipulation versus inspiration.
So most companies, right, they communicate from the outside in.
Okay.
Starting with what they do, then moving to how they do it, and then maybe, if you're lucky, they'll touch on the WHY.
Right, but Sinek is saying that like truly inspiring leaders,
Yes.
they do it the other way around.
They go from the inside out.
Yeah.
They start with WHY.
And what's interesting is he ties this back to biology.
Oh, absolutely.
To how our brains are actually wired.
Yeah. You know, the limbic system, which drives our emotions, our decision-making,
right?
That part of the brain doesn't have the capacity for language.
So even if we can't always articulate why we feel a certain way about a company,
right,
our emotions are still driving our choices.
Totally. Think about the last time you made a purchase.
Okay.
Did you, sit down with a spreadsheet and,
right,
weigh all the logical pros and cons?
No.
Or did you just have that gut feeling about it?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to how I feel.
Exactly.
About a particular brand or product.
And that's why understanding the WHY is so powerful.
Okay.
Because it taps into those deep-seated emotions,
yeah.
those values that are driving our behavior.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and one example Sinek uses in the book is laundry detergent.
Okay.
And for years, companies focused on making detergents that got clothes whiter and whiter
Sure.
because that's what consumers said they wanted. But then somebody realized that people were also smelling their clothes. As they came out of the dryer, they were looking for that sense of cleanliness, that feeling of freshness.
I see. So the WHY wasn't just about white clothes.
Yeah.
It was about feeling clean.
It's that fresh.
Exactly. And once companies understood that deeper WHY,
right,
they could create products that actually met the needs of their customers.
Yeah, that's such a good example.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the WHY, but what about the HOW?
The HOW.
Where does that fit into the golden circle?
So the HOW is that middle ring, right?
Okay.
It's about the processes, the actions, the values that bring that WHY to life.
So the WHY is the inspiration, the driving force, and then the HW is kind of like the practical application.
You got it.
Okay.
And Sinek uses this really cool analogy of a 3D cone.
Okay.
To kind of illustrate this concept. So the WHY is the tip of the cone.
Okay.
The HOW is that middle section.
Yeah.
And then the what is the base.
Yeah.
And that WHY needs a strong how W to connect to the what, to manifest in those tangible results.
Yeah.
So it's like the blueprint for turning that idea into a reality.
Yeah. You need the vision and the strategy to make it happen.
And a great example he gives is Walt Disney.
Yeah.
And his brother, Roy.
Exactly.
Right. So Walt was the visionary.
The WHY guy.
Yeah. Bursting with ideas. But it was Roy who provided the HOW, right?
Yeah.
Building those systems, the structures that allowed Walt's vision to scale and become what we know as like the Disney empire today.
And you need that, right?
Yeah. You need both.
Like that passion needs structure.
Yeah.
And that structure needs that passion.
That's a perfect balance of like passion and practicality.
Absolutely.
You need both
to
create something really remarkable.
That's true.
So then the question is, what happens when an organization loses sight of its WHY?
Ooh, yeah.
And this is where I think the school bus test comes in.
You're right on track. Yeah. Sinek uses this thought experiment to emphasize how crucial it is for the WHY to be embedded in the organization.
And he asks, if the founder were to get hit by a school bus, would the company still thrive?
That's a tough one to think about.
It is, but it really makes you think, right?
Right. Would the organization still be able to operate with the same clarity of purpose?
Yeah.
Even without that founder's direct leadership?
Exactly. And the example that he uses is Walmart.
Okay.
Right. And Sam Walton, the founder, he was so passionate about serving people.
Okay.
Both his customers and his employees. That was his WHY.
Okay.
But after he passed away, the company kind of seemed to shift its focus to the HOW.
Yeah.
And they became really obsessed with offering the lowest prices at all costs.
Right. And I think that led to some questionable practices.
Totally.
Right. Like their focus on low prices came at the expense of employee well-being, customer service. And they really lost sight of that initial WHY.
Yeah, they did.
That made them so successful in the first place.
And that's why Sinek stresses how important it is for leaders
to be constantly communicating and reinforcing that WHY throughout the organization. It can't just be this one-time thing.
It has to be woven into the company culture.
It does.
The decision-making processes, like the way they do business.
Absolutely.
It's about, not just talking the talk,
right,
but walking the walk.
You got it.
Living and breathing that WHY.
Exactly. And that's what creates authenticity.
Yeah.
That's what builds trust.
So much to think about here.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling like I need to go back and reread this book.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those books you can revisit over and over again.
And get something new out of it every time.
Absolutely.
So we've explored the WHY, we've explored the Hey W. But what about the what?
Okay, yeah.
Where does that fit into the golden circle?
So remember that 3D cone analogy, right?
Yeah.
The what is the base of the cone.
Okay.
It's the tangible expression of your WHY and your how.
So that's the products you create, the services you offer?
Exactly. Okay. And Sinek actually makes a really interesting distinction between marketing and sales here.
Huh?
He says, marketing is about attracting people who believe in your WHY.
Right.
Sales is about convincing anyone to buy your what, regardless of whether or not they align with your values.
So it's not just about pushing products, it's about building that community
Yes.
around a shared belief.
Exactly.
And in the long run, those are the people who become your most loyal customers, your advocates,
Right.
the ones who will stick with you through thick and thin.
Yeah, because they believe in your purpose.
It makes me think about the brands that I really love.
Yeah.
Like the ones I would tell my friends about, it's usually because I connect with what they stand for,
Totally.
not just because I think their products are cool.
Right, and that's the power of starting with WHY.
Yeah.
It's about building those relationships based on those shared values. It's not about a transaction, it's about a movement.
So I think it's time to take a break. But when we come back, I want to dive deeper into some more examples of how this golden circle plays out in the real world.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited to continue this conversation.
And what it means for us, both personally and professionally.
Absolutely. So we were talking about how, a company's WHY should be so ingrained that it could survive, even if the founder was hypothetically hit by a school bus.
Yeah, it's a powerful image.
Right.
And it makes you think about the brands that you admire.
Yeah.
The ones that just have this unshakable sense of purpose.
Like Apple, right?
Yeah,
They've
exactly.
gone through leadership changes,
Right.
industry disruptions, but their core identity has remained intact.
Totally, yeah. And they've managed to constantly innovate
Yeah.
while staying true to their WHY, which,
Right.
as we were saying before, is all about empowering individuals through technology.
Yeah, it's as if their WHY acts as this compass,
Right.
guiding their decisions even when things are uncertain. And that sense of purpose can be so attractive to customers,
Right.
employees.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, this is what we believe in. If you believe in it too, join us.
That's exactly it. It's about building a movement, not just selling products.
And speaking of movements, before the break, we were getting into the science behind the golden circle.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing how Sinek ties it all back to the way our brains are wired.
I know, it's so fascinating.
Right.
The idea that our decisions are so heavily influenced by emotions,
Yeah.
even if we can't explain why,
Right.
the limbic system, the part of our brain that's responsible for our gut feelings, it lacks the capacity for language.
So even if we can't articulate it,
Yeah.
our emotions are still driving our choices.
Precisely. Think about the last time you made a purchase.
Okay.
Did you meticulously weigh every logical pro and con?
Probably not.
Or did you just kind of go with your gut?
Yeah. I mean, I like to think I'm a rational person. Honestly, a lot of my decisions are based on how I feel about something.
Exactly.
If a brand resonates with me emotionally,
Yeah.
I'm more likely to buy from them,
Right.
even if a competitor offers a slightly better deal or whatever.
And that's why understanding the WHY is so crucial.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into those deep-seated emotions,
Okay.
those values that drive our behavior.
So for someone listening who's thinking, okay, great, but how do I discover my WHY?
Right.
Where do they even begin?
That's a question that a lot of people wrestle with. And
Yeah.
Sinek suggests that it's a process of discovery,
Okay.
not invention.
Yes.
Your WHY is not something that you just conjure up,
Right.
It's about looking inward,
Mhm.
reflecting on your experiences, your passions,
Okay.
the things that make you feel alive.
So it's about identifying those moments when you felt a deep sense of purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or fulfillment.
Ask yourself,
Okay.
what am I most passionate about?
Right. Yeah.
What impact do I want to make on the world?
What gets me out of bed in the morning?
And what if the answer isn't immediately clear?
Yeah.
What if someone is feeling kind of lost or unsure?
It's okay. I mean, it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
keep exploring or keep asking those questions.
Yeah.
Be open to the possibility that your WHY might evolve as you grow.
Right. It's not static.
Exactly.
It can change.
Yeah.
You know, it strikes me that this whole concept isn't just relevant for businesses or organizations.
Yeah.
It applies to us as individuals, too.
Absolutely. Understanding your WHY can help you make more fulfilling choices.
Right.
In all areas of your life, your career, your relationships.
It's about living with intention.
Yeah.
Aligning your actions with your values.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it can be so empowering. You know, Sinek quotes Nietzsche, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow."
Right. So when you have that strong sense of purpose, you can overcome almost any obstacle.
Yeah. And on that note,
maybe we can shift gears a little bit and revisit that school bus test.
Yes. That really got me thinking. It's about ensuring that the WHY is so deeply ingrained in the company culture that it can survive even the loss of its founder.
Precisely. And Sinek uses Walmart as kind of a cautionary tale of what can happen when an organization loses sight of their WHY.
So their focus shifted from serving people to just being about low prices.
Right.
They became so fixated on the HHW that they forgot the WHY that had initially fueled their success.
Yeah, and it ultimately had a negative impact, right, on their brand reputation, their relationship with both employees and customers.
It highlights the importance of constantly nurturing and communicating the WHY.
Yes.
Not just at the leadership level, but throughout the entire organization.
It's not a one-time exercise. It needs to be woven into the fabric of the company culture.
So it's about walking the talk.
Yeah.
Not just talking the talk.
Exactly. And that's what creates authenticity. That's what builds trust.
Okay, so we've explored the WHY, the HOW. What about the what?
Yeah.
Where does that fit into the golden circle?
So remember that 3D cone analogy?
Yes.
The what is the base of the cone.
Okay.
It's the tangible expression of your WHY and your how-happy.
So the products you create, the services you offer.
Precisely.
The actions you take.
Yeah, and Sinek makes this really interesting distinction between marketing and sales. He says marketing is about attracting people who believe in your WHY, while sales is about convincing anyone to buy your what.
Right.
Regardless of whether they align with your values or not.
So it's about building a community around a shared belief.
Yeah.
Not just pushing products.
Right. And in the long run, it's the people who believe in your WHY who will become your most loyal customers and your biggest advocates.
They're the ones who are going to stick with you through thick and thin.
Yeah, because they connect with your purpose on a deeper level.
It makes you think about the brands you really love.
Totally.
The ones you rave about to your friends.
Yeah.
It's usually because you believe in what they stand for.
Yeah.
Not just because their products are cool.
Exactly. And that's the power of starting with WHY.
Yeah.
It's about building relationships based on those shared values.
Right.
It's not about a transaction. It's about a movement.
I want to circle back to the story about the Wright brothers.
Oh, yeah.
And Samuel Langley.
Okay.
Because Sinek uses this to illustrate the difference between being driven by WHY versus what.
It's a great story.
Can you remind us how those stories played out?
Sure. So Langley, he was motivated by fame, the desire to be the first to fly.
Right.
So his focus was on the what.
Okay.
Achieving that specific outcome.
Right.
The Wright brothers.
Yeah.
They were driven by that deeper belief in the power of flight to change the world.
Okay.
Their WHY fueled their perseverance.
Right.
And ultimately led to their success.
And Langley, even though he had arguably more resources, more expertise, he gave up when he encountered those setbacks.
He did, because his motivation wasn't as strong.
Right.
His what wasn't connected to that powerful WHY.
It's like that quote by Nietzsche, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow."
Exactly. Yeah, it highlights the importance of a compelling WHY in driving us forward even when we face adversity.
This makes me think about Ernest Shackleton. And his, crazy expedition to Antarctica.
That recruitment ad, right.
I know. It was basically an invitation to face almost certain death.
It's a remarkable story.
It said something like, men wanted for hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success.
It sounds more like a warning than a job offer.
I know.
Yeah.
Yet he managed to assemble this crew of 27 men were willing to go on this insane journey.
I know, and they survived.
And they ultimately survived against all odds.
It's incredible.
That's the power of a clear WHY.
It is.
He wasn't offering comfort security.
No.
He was offering them a chance to be part of something truly extraordinary.
Exactly.
Something that would test their limits, push them to the edge of human endurance.
And it worked.
It did work.
He attracted these people who were drawn to that challenge, who believed in that mission, even if it meant facing those incredible risks.
So what kind of people would sign up for that?
I mean, think about it. He laid out his WHY so clearly in that ad.
Right.
It wasn't about personal gain. It wasn't about financial reward.
Right.
It was about the pursuit of something greater than themselves.
Yeah.
The chance to make history.
Yeah.
To explore the unknown.
It's like he was saying, if you're driven by the same WHY, if you believe in what we're doing, then come join us.
Yeah.
But be warned, it's going to be brutal.
And the men who answered that call, they were the ones who shared his vision.
Yeah.
Who were willing to endure that hardship for the sake of something they believed in.
It's like a self-selection process. You know?
It is. It's a great way to put it.
Attracting only those who were truly aligned with the mission.
Precisely.
So the WHY acted as a filter.
Yes.
Ensuring that the right people were on board for this journey.
Exactly. And that's what makes the story so compelling.
Yeah.
It shows that when you start with WHY, you attract the right people. The ones who will not only contribute to your success, but who will also be there for you when things get tough.
It's about building a team that's united by that shared sense of purpose.
It is.
So as we wrap up this second part of our deep dive, what are some key takeaways that our listeners should be pondering?
I think the biggest takeaway is that understanding and communicating your WHY is so crucial.
Right.
Whether you're leading a team, building a company, or even just trying to figure out your own path in life. It's what inspires people. It's what builds trust.
Yeah.
It's what creates that lasting success.
It's about more than just what you do or how you do it. It's about the WHY behind it all.
Exactly.
And that WHY, when it's clear and authentic, can have this incredible ripple effect, you know?
It can.
Inspiring others to join you on your journey.
Yeah. And for those of you listening, I encourage you to reflect on your own WHY. What drives you?
Right.
What are you passionate about?
Yeah.
What impact do you want to make on the world? The answers to those questions can be so powerful.
And join us for part 3, where we'll unpack Shackleton's story a bit further and explore the lasting impact of starting with WHY. Welcome back to our deep dive into Start With Why. Thinking back on everything we've discussed, it's amazing how this one concept can be applied to so many different aspects of our lives.
It really is, yeah.
Whether we're talking about, building a business, leading a team, or even just making those personal choices.
Yeah.
The WHY seems to be at the heart of it all.
It really does.
And before the break, we were talking about Ernest Shackleton.
Yeah.
And his crazy expedition to Antarctica.
Oh, it's such a good story.
You know, that recruitment ad, it was practically an invitation to disaster.
Yeah.
Yet he still managed to attract a loyal crew.
It's almost paradoxical, isn't it?
It is.
It's like he offered hardship, danger, even the possibility of death.
Right.
But he also offered something far more powerful.
Right.
The chance to be part of something truly extraordinary.
And that's what drew people in.
I think so, yeah.
It wasn't about personal gain or comfort.
Right.
It was about aligning with that powerful WHY.
That's the key. Shackleton's WHY, his belief in the importance of their mission, it resonated with those who shared his vision,
Yeah.
Those who craved adventure, who were willing to face the unknown.
What if he had taken a different approach, though? Imagine if that ad had focused on the what instead. Like something like, sailors needed for a voyage to Antarctica.
I doubt he would have gotten the same response.
Right.
Yeah.
Would he have attracted the same caliber of people?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
By leading with the WHY,
Right.
he basically pre-screened his applicants,
Right.
making sure that those who join were motivated by something deeper than just a paycheck or a change of scenery.
So he created this self-selection process, right?
Yeah.
Attracting only those who truly believed in the mission.
Right.
And were prepared to face the challenges that came with it.
And that's such a valuable lesson for any leader or organization. When you're clear about your WHY, You naturally attract the right people, the ones who are intrinsically motivated, aligned with your purpose.
It's about building a team that's united by that shared belief, that shared sense of purpose.
Absolutely.
It's not about forcing people to comply. It's about inspiring them to join the movement.
And that's where the magic happens, right?
When people are driven by a WHY that resonates with them, they're more likely to be engaged, productive, resilient in the face of challenges.
So as we wrap out our deep dive into Start With Why, what's the one thing you really want our listeners to take away from this conversation?
I think the key message is understanding and communicating your WHY. It's essential, whether you're leading a team or building a company or just trying to navigate your own life. You know?
It's about connecting with that deeper sense of purpose.
Exactly. It gives meaning to our actions.
And it's not just about finding it.
No.
It's about living it.
Yeah.
Breathing it, making it the foundation of everything that you do.
That's it. It's about inspiring others to believe in something bigger than themselves. To join you on a journey that's driven by a shared sense of purpose.
And for those of you listening, I encourage you to reflect on your own WHY. What are you passionate about? What impact do you want to make on the world? What gets you excited to start each day?
Such good questions to think about.
The answers can be incredibly powerful. They can guide your decisions, shape your actions, and ultimately lead you to a more fulfilling life.
I agree.
A more impactful life.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe you'll even inspire others to join you on your journey. Create a movement that makes a real difference in the world.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Simon Sinek's Start With Why.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Absolutely.
Until next time.